If you clicked on this video, you already know who I'm talking about. There's someone. And right now, just hearing me say that, their face flashed through your mind. You didn't choose it. It just happened. The same way it always does. I know something about you. You've tried to explain this connection to someone, a friend, a sister, a co-worker you trust, and you watched their face go polite, that careful nod, that gentle suggestion to just move on, to focus on yourself, to try that dating app again, and you smiled and said, yeah, you're probably right. But inside, something screamed. Because what you feel for this person doesn't fit inside the word crush. It doesn't fit inside infatuation. It barely fits inside language at all. Something in you recognized something in them the very first moment, and it's been speaking to you ever since in a voice you can hear but can't explain to anyone else. And now you're here, probably late at night, probably alone, probably not for the first time, and I need you to know that's not random. Out of every video you could have clicked tonight, something brought you to this one. Remember that. Because by the time we're done here, you're going to understand exactly what's been happening to you. Not what you hope is happening, not what you're afraid is happening. What is actually happening between your soul and theirs? And it starts with something most twin flame videos will never tell you. But before I give you the signs, before we get to the astrology and the framework and the things you can actually look for, I need you to understand something about what you've been going through. Because the fact that you're here searching for this at this hour tells me more about where you are in this journey than you might realize. There are things your soul does when it recognizes its twin flame, not things you decide to do, things that happen to you. And they are so specific that when I name them, you'll know in your body whether this connection is what you think it is. The first thing is the thinking. You think about them, not sometimes, not when a song reminds you. You think about them the way you breathe, constantly, involuntarily, in the background of everything. You're at work and they're there. You're in a conversation with someone else and part of your mind is still with them. It's not that you choose to think about them. It's that they've become a kind of weather system inside you, always present, always shifting, and you can't turn it off any more than you can turn off the rain. The second is the recognition. I need you to think about this carefully. When you first met this person, or first really looked at them, something happened that didn't happen with anyone else you've ever known. It wasn't attraction. Attraction builds. This was immediate. This was a feeling in your gut, or your chest, or somewhere behind your eyes that said, there you are. Not like meeting someone new, like remembering someone ancient. Like your body knew them before your mind had any say in the matter. The third is the dreams. Can I tell you something? I know about the dreams, the ones where they show up and it doesn't feel like a dream at all. It feels like a meeting, like a conversation that actually happened in some other place. You wake up at 3 in the morning and for a few seconds, before you're fully conscious, you feel them. Not as a thought, as a presence. Like the room still holds the shape of a dream you were just inside together. And then your waking mind catches up and the feeling starts to fade, and you lie there trying to hold on to it the way you'd try to hold water in your hands. The fourth is the body, the physical sensations that make no logical sense. Your heart speeding up before a message arrives, feeling a shift in your chest when they're thinking about you, a warmth, a pull, a sudden change in the energy of the room even when they're hundreds of miles away. You've felt this, and you've told no one. And the fifth is the one that might be hardest to admit. You've tried to move on. You've probably dated someone else, someone kind, someone good, someone who checks every box your rational mind can think of. And they're fine. They're lovely people. But there's a frequency missing, something flat, like listening to a song with the bass removed. And you hate yourself a little for noticing that, because you know it's not fair to the other person. and you know it doesn't make sense, and you know that everyone in your life would tell you the new person is the better choice. But your soul is not interested in better choices. It's interested in the truth. And then there's the silence from the people around you. The friends who say you're overthinking it. The family who means well but doesn't understand. The therapist who uses words like attachment and projection, and they're not wrong, but they're not right either, because clinical language can't hold what this is. And so you search alone, late at night, looking for someone, anyone, who gets it. I get it. And I need you to hear something right now. Really hear it. What you're feeling, this thing that nobody around you seems to understand, it is real. You are not imagining it. You are not making it up because you want it to be true. The intensity of this experience is not a symptom of something broken in you. And the fact that it doesn't make logical sense, that's actually one of the signs. Here's the thing. Have you ever been in a quiet room with a piano and someone across the room plays a single note on a guitar and one string on that piano starts to vibrate on its own? Nobody touched it. Nobody plucked it. But it heard something that matched its exact frequency, and it couldn't help but respond. That's not a metaphor for what you're feeling. That's a description of it. You were living your life. Nobody struck you. But something in this person rang at a frequency your soul is tuned to, and now a part of you won't stop vibrating, and you can't make it stop. You've tried, because you don't control resonance. You can only recognize it. And that's what makes this different from everything else you've experienced. Think about every relationship you've had before this one. Some of them were beautiful, some of them were painful. But if you're honest, and I think you are because you're still here at this hour looking for the truth, none of them did this. None of them made that string vibrate. You could love someone deeply and still feel like you were playing in different keys. Good people, real love. But the resonance wasn't there, and then this person walked into the room, and a part of you that had been silent your entire life suddenly started to hum. That's not infatuation. Infatuation fades when the novelty wears off. This gets louder with distance. Now let me tell you what's really happening, because there's a layer to this that goes beyond emotion. It goes beyond psychology. It's written in the stars, literally. And this is where it gets interesting. In astrology, every connection between two people leaves a signature in the charts. When you overlay one person's birth chart onto another's, you can see the architecture of the relationship, what it's designed for, what it will teach, how deep it goes. And this is where the question of how to tell becomes something you can actually see. Soulmate connections have their own pattern, beautiful Venus and Moon aspects, easy flow. And if you've had one, you know what I mean. It feels like coming home. Like putting on a sweater that fits perfectly. There's warmth, comfort, safety. Your nervous system settles. Karmic connections feel completely different. Heavy Saturn, South Node weight. In your body, it feels like a debt, like something you owe, or something owed to you. There's a compulsive quality, but it's heavy, not electric. When the lesson is learned, the grip loosens. You can walk away. But twin flame connections don't feel like either of those. A twin flame doesn't feel like home, and it doesn't feel like debt. It feels like being struck by lightning in slow motion. It's not comfortable and it's not heavy. It's alive. Every nerve ending in your body knows something your mind hasn't caught up to yet. And in the charts, twin flame synastry has 5 specific signatures. When you know what to look for, they're unmistakable. The first is Pluto. When someone's Pluto sits directly on your Venus or your ascendant, there is an obsessive, magnetic, almost gravitational pull between you. It doesn't feel optional. It feels like physics, like you couldn't resist it even if you tried with everything you have. And you have tried. I know you have. The second is the South Node. When someone's South Node touches one of your personal planets, your Sun, your Moon, your Venus, The moment you meet them, your soul says, I know you. That feeling of remembering someone you've never met in this life, that's the South Node. It's a past life marker. Your soul does know them, just not from this time around. The third is the vertex. This is the point of fate in your chart. When someone's personal planets land directly on your vertex, the meeting itself feels orchestrated. You look back on how you found each other, and the circumstances seem impossible, choreographed, as if something much larger than either of you arranged the whole thing. The fourth is the 12th house, and this one is important. The 12th house is the house of past lives, hidden karma, and soul memory. When someone's planets fall into your 12th house, you feel them before you see them. You sense their energy at a distance. You dream about them before you meet them. They access parts of you that you keep hidden from everyone else, not because you choose to reveal yourself, but because in their presence the walls simply dissolve. This is the most intimate, most vulnerable, most terrifying overlay in synastry, and it's one of the strongest twin flame indicators there is. The fifth is the composite sun and moon. When the chart of your relationship itself shows a sun-moon conjunction or opposition, there is a feeling of being one complete thing, two instruments that together make a sound neither could produce alone. Now, these 5 signatures don't all need to be present, but in a true twin flame connection, you'll usually find 3 or more of them active at once. That's what distinguishes it from a soulmate bond, which might have 1 or 2. And it's what separates it from a karmic tie, which tends to lean heavily on Saturn and the South Node without the Plutonian intensity or the vertex fatefulness. If you have your birth chart and theirs, look for these 5 things. You don't need an astrologer. You need a free synastry calculator and 20 quiet minutes. And I think you'll find exactly what you expect to find. Because I think, deep down, you already know. And there's one more planetary player I need to mention, Neptune. Neptune dissolves boundaries. In twin flame connections, Neptune is almost always prominently active. And this is why you can't see this clearly. It melts the line between you and this person, which is both the magic and the danger. It's why it feels transcendent. And it's why you sometimes can't tell where you end and they begin. Stay with me, because this is where everything shifts. All of those signs, all of that astrology, all of the resonance I've described, that's the map, that's the framework. But here's what I need you to understand. This is the part that changes everything. You've been asking the wrong question. You've been lying awake at night asking, is this person my twin flame, as if the answer is about them. But the answer was never about them. It was always about you. Here's what nobody tells you about resonance. When 2 instruments are tuned to the same frequency, they don't just share the beautiful notes, they share everything, every dissonance, every crack, every place where the wood has warped or the string has gone slightly flat. When that piano string starts vibrating because of the guitar across the room, it doesn't get to choose which vibrations it responds to. It receives all of them. And that is why this connection has been so painful. This person isn't just reflecting your light back to you. They're reflecting your wounds. Every unhealed place, every crack you thought you'd sealed over, every piece of yourself you buried so deep you forgot it was there. Their frequency finds those places and makes them audible. Not to hurt you, not to punish you, because resonance doesn't lie. It can't. And the pain you've been feeling? It's not the sound of something breaking. It's the sound of something that was already broken, finally being heard. And I need you to hear this clearly. The pain is one of the signs, not a side effect, not a warning that you've chosen wrong. The depth of your suffering in this connection is directly proportional to the depth of the bond. If this was something casual, it wouldn't hurt like this. It couldn't. Only resonance at this frequency produces this kind of ache. That's the runner and chaser dynamic that so many people in twin flame connections experience. One person gets so overwhelmed by what the mirror reveals that they pull away, and the other person chases, not because they're desperate, but because they can feel the resonance fading, and losing it feels like losing oxygen. But here's the truth underneath the pattern. The runner isn't running from you. They're running from what your presence reveals about themselves. And the chaser isn't chasing a person. They're chasing wholeness. So the question was never, is this person my twin flame? The question is, am I willing to do the inner work that this connection is demanding of me? Because that's what a twin flame really is. Not your other half, your mirror, not the person who completes you, the person who shows you every single place where you haven't yet completed yourself. This was never about finding them. Every sign, every synchronicity, every sleepless night, it was your soul trying to get you to find yourself. The twin flame journey is not a love story about two people. It is a transformation story about one person, you becoming whole. And if you're still here, if you didn't click away when I told you this isn't just about romance, that tells me something important about who you are. Not everyone is ready to hear what I just said. Most people want the fairy tale. The fact that you're still listening means your soul is done with fairy tales. It's ready for the truth. I want you to think about what you've endured, not just in this connection. In your life, you've been carrying the weight of feelings that most people will never access. You've been told you're too much, too intense, too sensitive, too deep. You've dimmed yourself in rooms full of people who needed you to be smaller so they could feel comfortable. And you did it. You made yourself quieter. You performed a version of fine that was convincing enough to get through the day. But this connection blew the door off. This person walked in, and that string that had been silent your whole life started to hum. And you couldn't quiet it. And you couldn't pretend it wasn't happening. And for the first time, you had to sit with the full, terrifying, magnificent volume of who you actually are. And it overwhelmed you. Of course it did. You'd spent years keeping it silent. You can feel it right now, if you're honest. That weight behind your sternum. That fullness in your throat that comes right before tears you won't let fall. That's not sadness. That's recognition. That's your body confirming what your mind has been arguing about for months. So here's what breaks my heart and fills it at the same time. A piano string that has never vibrated doesn't know what frequency it's tuned to. It sits there, silent, its whole life, functional, intact, but unaware of its own sound. It takes another instrument, playing the right note from across the room, to make that string discover what it was always capable of. That's what happened to you. You weren't broken before you met this person, but you were silent. And they walked into the room and they played a note without even knowing they played it. And for the first time in your life, you heard your own sound. You felt your own depth. You discovered that you are capable of a kind of love, a kind of feeling, a kind of knowing that most people will go their entire lives without ever touching. And you've been calling that a problem. You've been calling that an obsession. You've been asking people to help you make the vibrating stop. What if it's not a problem? What if you were built for this? What if that string was always there, waiting, and the fact that it finally found its frequency isn't something to fix, it's something to honor? You were never too much. You were just unplayed. And now you know your own sound. And no one on this earth can unhear that for you. And here's what's beautiful about where you are right now. Whether or not this specific person is your twin flame, and I mean that, whether the answer turns out to be yes or no, what has happened inside you is real and it is permanent and it is yours. You woke up. The depth you discovered doesn't disappear if the label changes. The capacity for love you uncovered doesn't shrink if this turns out to be a karmic lesson instead of a twin flame bond. The fact that you're going through this right now, at this exact moment in your life, is not random. Your soul chose this window for a reason. Maybe you don't feel ready. Maybe you feel like you're barely holding it together. But readiness doesn't always feel like confidence. Sometimes readiness feels like being cracked wide open, and the crack is how the light gets in. If this is your twin flame, the connection won't disappear. It will evolve. And union, real union, doesn't look like two desperate halves collapsing into each other. It looks like two whole people who have each done the work of becoming complete on their own, choosing each other from fullness, not from need. Two people who no longer need each other to feel whole, choosing each other anyway. That choice, made freely, from wholeness, is the most powerful force there is. And if this isn't your twin flame, if what you've experienced is a karmic bond or a soul contract with a different purpose, then what's coming next will astonish you. Because the awakening you just went through has tuned your instrument. It has calibrated your frequency. And what matches that frequency now, what's being drawn toward you in ways you can't yet see, may be more profound and more beautiful than anything you've imagined. You did not go through all of this for nothing. Not one sleepless night was wasted. Not one tear fell without watering something that is just about to bloom. Now, before I let you go, I want to leave you with something you can actually hold. Tonight or tomorrow, find a quiet moment. Write a letter to this person that you'll never send. Not about what you want from them, about what they've taught you about yourself. What have you discovered about your own heart because of this connection? Let that letter become your mirror, not them, you. And if you want to explore the astrology, pull up both birth charts. Look for those 5 signatures I walked you through. You don't need an expert. You need curiosity and an open afternoon. The patterns will speak for themselves. And ask yourself one honest question. Am I trying to understand this connection so I can grow, or so I can control it? Don't judge whatever answer surfaces. Just sit with it. Because your answer will show you exactly what your next step needs to be. And one more thing. Stop searching for external confirmation. Stop polling your friends. Stop looking for one more video that will finally make you certain. The certainty you've been looking for does not live in anyone else's words. It lives in that vibration, that hum, that quiet, stubborn knowing that has been with you since the day this began. You already know. You've always known. You just needed someone to tell you it's safe to trust what you feel. So I'm telling you, trust it. And one last thing, because I think you need to hear this before you close this video. You didn't find this tonight by accident. Something in you was ready. Something in your soul said, tonight is the night I stop wondering and start understanding. And you listened to that voice. That matters more than you know. Whatever this connection turns out to be, twin flame, soulmate, karmic teacher, sacred mirror, it has already changed you. And that change is yours to keep. Nobody can take it from you. Nobody can undo what you've become. So the next time it's late and it's quiet and you feel that hum, that resonance that started the night you met them and has never fully stopped, don't fight it. Don't pathologize it. Don't reach for your phone to search for one more sign. Just close your eyes and listen. Because that sound you hear, it's not them. It was never just them. It's you. The sound of a soul that finally knows its own frequency. And now that you've heard it, you will never be silent again. And if you're still wondering how to tell, here it is. You just did. Everything you felt while listening to this. Every time your breath caught. Every time your eyes stung. Every time something inside you whispered, yes, that's it. That's us. That was your answer. You didn't need me to tell you. You just needed someone to give you permission to trust what your soul has been saying all along. Take good care of yourself. I mean that.